Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Help for the Guiltless. My name, of course, is Antoine. Now, before we get to the topic at hand, I have a question for you all. Do you want more? And I'm not talking about Billy Idol and crying out at the midnight hour for more, more, more. I'm talking about, do you want more? Me. I would love to know, let me know in the comments. I have the ability to do a second video a week. And if there's anything you want me to try and tackle in particular, I'd love for you to let me know. So please, I will do a second video a week if it is in the consensus of the subscribers. Now, let's get to the topic at hand, shall we? Chrisiousity, one of the wonderful people in the Outrage Brigade. That amazing art-stealing bedroom feminist who decides to put her 2 cents in, sometimes where it's not needed. Now, I know Mythcon was a couple of weeks ago, but it is still in the minds and the hearts of many online, since Mythcon is pushing it on Twitter, and Michael Rowland's just put out a video challenging Sargon to a big debate in 2018. We also have Christy Winters still talking about it, Sargon promoting it, and June and Skeptic, well, they're promoting it as well. Chrisiousity has a WordPress blog, and it's titled Open Letters from a Feminist Online. Now, I haven't done a dramatic reading in a while, so my pipes may be a little rusty, but I'm going to go through this as best as I can, because it deserves it. Now, I will make comment to certain things throughout, but I will try and do my best. So, here we go. An open letter to atheist podcasters and conference speakers from a rape survivor and YouTube feminist. We need to talk. A brief introduction is in order. While this blog is quite new, I have been a feminist on YouTube for about 1.5 years. At the time I started my channel, YouTube had become extraordinarily hostile to people who had an interest in progressive politics. Actually, that's not very true, is it, Chrisiousity? When you started on YouTube, the feminist movement was in full swing. You jumped onto it to try and gain popularity, which is why you hitched your wagon to Fisty Splinters and the rest of her flying monkeys. The only problem is you backed the wrong horse, so to speak, because it was the anti-movement that was starting to gain ground, and because of that, you started to backpedal. But we won't discuss any of that, because this is from your point of view. So let me continue. Many people were being bullied, dogpiled, and harassed to the point of shutting their channels down. In the words of a light blue 4-legged forest animal, citation needed. I started doing content around social justice issues because YouTube is often the first place people go nowadays for information, and it was important for feminists to hold the line. I am, well, just the right kind of bitch for that sort of job. Bitch, yes. Right for that sort of job, no. I also thought that I could be someone who might help bring a little humanism back to YouTube atheist/skeptic community. I now wonder how I could have ever been so naive. She's talking about Atheism Plus, which was a movement that was started by PZ Myers, and it failed miserably. Most importantly for this blog, I am one of the people who are trying to warn Mythcon organizers as to the nature of their speakers, particularly Sargon of Akkad, a fellow I have unfortunately known for some time. When it became clear that the Mythcon people were not interested, my peers and I just tried to warn as many others in the community as possible. If they want to platform people like this, at the very least, we could make sure they had to own their decision, and we were not going to let them say they weren't warned. No. What you did was an organized and targeted assault on Mythcon itself. You targeted the venue, you targeted the speakers, you browbeat speakers into leaving. This was not warning people. This was trying to throw your weight around and see what would happen. Yes, this was organized harassment, but it's okay when you do it. It's okay. We understand. Let me introduce you to Carl Benjamin, aka Sargon. Where did this guy come from? Carl came to prominence on YouTube as the most public mouthpiece of the movement called Gamergate. If you are unfamiliar with that movement, that's a good thing. Really, it's beyond the purview of this blog, but I'll try to include some sources about it. Incidentally, fellow conference speaker June Lapine, aka Shoeonhead, also came up during the Gamergate years as a figure associated with the movement. Yes, Sargon came to prominence during Gamergate, and that's because he was a very vocal proponent of it. No, Shoeonhead did not become popular because of Gamergate. She became popular because of her views against social justice warriors. Her very first video was about the Oppression Olympics. Carl's first video was regarding frequent GG target Anita Sarkeesian, a feminist critic of video games who received death and rape threats regularly. Carl made over 30 videos about her specifically, and a great many others that discussed her. 30 videos! That's impressive. Now, he didn't make them all in one day, but that's still a bit. Except Sargon has over 200, so that's still only about, I would say 12%. That's not taking into consideration your best friend, Christy Winters, who has made over 90 videos about bearing, and almost as many about Sargon. You want to talk about people making multiple videos about something? Look inward, Chrisiousity. Look inward towards your in-group, and I can tell you this right now. It won't be pretty when you look at the mirror. When I say disgust, that is somewhat euphemistic. Carl has referred to her over the years as a con artist, implying that she either instigated or perhaps even fabricated her years of well-documented abuse, a cult leader, a bitch, an authoritarian bigot against white men, and many other interesting charges. The master of the mixed message, he would tell his followers not to harass her, as that would be money in her pocket, but also that her harassment was an inevitable consequence of her bigotry. He has stated numerous times that he and other anti-SJWs are in a culture war against regressives and cultural Marxists. Anita Sarkeesian is a con artist. She is part of the feminist cult. She is a bitch and a liar, and she definitely is an authoritarian bigot against white men, and in particular, men completely, as a whole. If you go to her own Twitter profile, it's her cleavage level, because, she has to get the white knights in there, give them a little something. And it has a necklace, and the necklace says, "Trust no man." I'm not saying that's an indictment on exactly her hating men, but she is also a proponent of the listen and believe. Listen and believe completely without verifying and questioning. But don't trust a single man, listen to every single woman. And it is a culture war. It's a culture war against people like yourselves who want to dictate what we can and can't say, what we can and can't talk about. You want to dictate exactly what is okay to think. You want to police speech. You want to get people arrested for wrong think. You are a cultural Marxist. How we knew this debate would go south, Carl's greatest hits. Oh, we knew how it was going to go south right away when Thomas came out on stage acting like he was the smartest man in the world. He started aggressively, and he got put in his place beautifully. So let's just skip the I told you so's as given and move on to why we were speaking up. Let's be frank. Genuine debate with progressives is something Carl has attempted a few times, to his detriment. He sucks at it. Naturally, he prefers to stick to his actual strengths: propaganda and harassment. Oh my god! Okay, I will admit, Carl does not debate well. That's fine. The few times that I've seen him do it, he was learning. Now, he does not spout propaganda, and he doesn't harass. You have to stop. You have to stop saying these things, because they're wholly untrue. The person who was harassed at VidCon was not Anita Sarkeesian. It was Sargon of Akkad. If you want proof, Well, you can't get it anymore because he was suspended off of Twitter. If you wanted proof, you should have gone to his Twitter profile that day. Oh, wait, Chrisiousity. You were part of that harassment, weren't you? Actually, you were suspended from Twitter for 12 hours because of your harassment of Sargon of Akkad. That actually puts a lot of this in the same vein as you don't like him, so don't listen to him. So let's review some highlights. These should be good. After mass shooter Elliot Rogers' deadly rampage, Carl responded to feminist Lacey Green's video on the subject by, ever so rationally, blaming the event on her in particular and the fucking feminist system in general. This was delivered in a histrionic rant that has to be heard to be properly appreciated. I can't speak on this because I don't remember seeing that video, and I've seen pretty much all of Sargon's videos. But I can tell you this. He wasn't blaming Lacey Green in particular. He was blaming the system that feminists have portrayed. Now, he may have been in the wrong, and that's fine. If he was in the wrong. Elliot Rodger was a deadly rampage that killed more men than women. This was a person who wanted to be a supervillain. His manifesto, given on YouTube, had evil laughs put in. Let's continue. Carl holds a grudge against my friend, atheist YouTuber Steve Shives, for his progressivism. No, Steve Shives is an authoritarian. If you want proof, go and look at his video that he did after Mythcon. It's very telling. Carl has tried some interesting, fraudulent tactics to get Steve to debate him, but has been refused. Because Steve will not debate anyone. He wants to stay in his echo chamber as deeply woven as possible. It has nothing to do with Steve not wanting debate. It has to do with Steve not wanting to have his views challenged. So, of course, he called upon his rationality and wit to attack Steve's wife. He took a 2-minute video she appeared in where Steve asked her if she finds his TV show preferences sexist, and she admitted she did. And from that deduced that she was a vicious harpy, forcing her feminist ideas upon poor, emotionally abused Steve. This has caused her to be attacked and maligned by many online trolls for years. You're being a little hyperbolic. Fine, the video came out last year, not years. So there's that. And you take it as an attack. Most people who watched that video, and I know which one you're talking about, took it as humor. You even stated that it was wit. You may not like that he was joking about her, but there it is. It was a joke. Hens in the hen house. She pecks at him continuously until he bends to her will. And now we get to the wonderful, obligatory comments about Jess Phillips, I wouldn't even rape you. When British Member of Parliament and known sexual assault survivor Jess Phillips went public with a campaign to curb online harassment of women, you might have thought a guy like Carl, who includes his dedication to rational arguments backed by evidence in his channel description, would immediately start constructing clear, concise, and cogent arguments detailing his concerns, the better to win in the free marketplace of ideas. Alright, you can stop snickering now. No, of course he didn't. This was, as you might have guessed, the occasion of his infamous tweet of her stating, "I wouldn't even rape you, Jess Phillips." Then his followers, who are among the most reliable of lemmings, began to all tweet the same, so that when she woke up that morning she had literally hundreds of messages from people negatively evaluating her rapeability. It wasn't a threat. I wouldn't even murder you, Chrisiousity. It wasn't a threat. It really wasn't. And negatively evaluating her rapeability. I did not think that was going to be a sentence I was ever going to say, let alone have this woman put it on the computer. Jess Phillips went on national news to say that what she did is turn off her computer and go play with her kids. It did not bother her. Carl had a debate with feminist Dr. Christy Winters. Full disclosure, another friend and associate. Also the leader of your harassment brigade. Christie was savvy enough to insist upon a structured and moderated format, and she trounced him. He was so clearly bested that he had to apologize to his fans. That shows his moral character. The fact that he understands that he didn't know what he was getting into. He didn't understand the true form of debate. Christie Winters, who is in school and teaching, knows the form of debate. People talk about debates on YouTube as if they are debates. They're not. They're just discussions back and forth with someone keeping moderation in between. They are not actual debates. Christie Winters wanted an actual debate. Yes, Sargon was underprepared, and he apologized to his followers for being underprepared. What is wrong with that? Now, Christie let him know that she was open to a rematch. But, unsurprisingly, he did not choose that approach. Instead, a couple of months later, he decided to start a dogpile against her, asking her repeatedly about the feminist issue of tight Asian pussy. This was based on an article he'd seen about the objectification of Asian women that had absolutely nothing to do with Christie whatsoever. Actually, it does, because she pretends to be the moral outlier of what feminism is. She is the superhero to your movement. And he and his followers spent hours tweeting and retweeting pervy questions and innuendos to her on the subject. This dogpile included one following posting of joke poll as to whether or not people would even rape her, which Carl liked and retweeted. J'accuse! He liked and retweeted something. Oh my fucking god. Chrisiousity. I wouldn't even rape you. I don't even need a poll. One day, when Carl was out shopping, he encountered a retail worker who was wearing a feminist t-shirt. He took her picture without her permission in public and posted it online, along with the name of the shop and the location. After this not doxing, she was so badly harassed at work and frightened for her safety, the police had to be involved. What you are failing to point out after this is that he went online after that immediately and said stop. This is not something that I meant. I took down the other video. You need to stop harassing this woman. I just pointed out that she was wearing a feminist t-shirt. Do not do this. Again, you are trying to unjustly slander his moral character. He apologized for the debate. He apologized for this. He and Lacey Green hashed out their differences and they are now friends. You are doing nothing but poisoning the well. And I'm not talking about the awesome YouTube channel that everyone should go check out. Congratulations, Fat Pat, on getting married. When it became known that Russian Deadpool from the YouTube channel The Skeptic Feminist had murdered one of his female channel mates. They were in a polyamorous relationship. Carl and some of his friends want a ghoulish live stream where he spent 2 hours awkwardly laughing at jokes like, "There's a feminist that got triggered for the last time." You think that's about the victim. Look at the wording. Do you understand what words mean? There's a feminist that got triggered for the last time. That is about the murderer. That is about Russian Deadpool, not the victim. Keep in mind, he knew the member of this channel had a live stream with them, and in fact they were moderators on the debate of Dr. Winters. Yet he is unable to behave with empathy and consideration for others, even when it involves people he knows. Knowing and being friends with are two different things. I know who Russian Deadpool is too. I don't have empathy for what he did. Why should I have empathy for a murderer? A murderer that I once again point out that none of you fucking morons have ever condemned. You continually point out that Sargon went on a live stream to laugh at him, but you have never condemned his actions. If he ever gets out, are you going to talk to him? Are you going to be friends with him, Chrisiousity? Because I can guarantee you the answer is no. You have never condemned Alexander's action. You've only condemned Sargon for making fun of him. When has making fun of a murderer been a bad thing? We're almost done, folks. I know this is going long. I apologize. My point being, look, I could go on for some time about his prolosopher and his consistent... What the fuck is a prolosopher? They come up with words. That's all I know. And his consistent pattern of horrendous antisocial behavior. Actually, he's extremely social. He's anti-social justice. Chrisiousity, you're writing a blog. You're supposed to be an intelligent feminist. You don't know how words work! But it gets tiresome after a while. He is tiresome. At this point, it's fair to say that harassment of many people, but of women in particular, which he has never done, is his brand. He has no reason to actually engage in rational debate with anyone. Oh no, he tried. He tried with Thomas Smith. And guess what Thomas did? Thomas did exactly what you're doing. He bitched, whined, and complained. You know what? I'm not going to finish this. I thought I was going to be able to. I can't. Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin, went to Mythcon to actually do a debate. He had notes, he had talking points, and Thomas Smith came out on stage thinking he was dealing with someone who was a base-knowledged individual. And when Sargon started putting that little fucking fop in his place, Thomas panicked. Thus why he continually brought up the anti-rape threat. Why he continually tried to catch Carl in gotcha moments that he couldn't pin him down. And every single time he tried to say something, Thomas put his foot farther and farther down his throat. And now Thomas is giving ultimatums to Mythcon. Chrisiousity, you didn't go to Mythcon. I can guarantee you didn't watch Mythcon. And I can almost guarantee you've only watched the small little clips, and you have the same idea that the people were cheering Carl's anti-rape threat, instead of the fact that the people were cheering that he wasn't backing down. Thomas directly asked him, does he feel bad about the "I wouldn't even rape you," and Carl said he did not care. The person acting like a child in that debate was Thomas. The person acting like a child in this blog post is you. And the people acting like children after the whole situation have to do with your side. I don't know how else to tell you this, Chrisiousity. You're losing. And it's things like this that are causing you to lose. You fail to understand humor, you fail to understand context, and you refuse to flat out understand the other side. I would love to talk to the other side. I would love it. It would be amazing. But the other side doesn't want to talk to us. Thus lies the problem. I'm sorry this video has gone on so long, folks. I really am. So, if you have any comments, anything to say about the subject matter today, please let me know. If you have an answer to the question I asked at the beginning of the video, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. This has been Help for the Guildless. My name, of course, is Antoine. If you would like to follow me on any of the social medias, all the links are down below. I will also link Chrisiossity's WordPress blog down below as well. If you like what I do here, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for listening, and have a wonderful evening.